I don't know whether you guys have noticed crazy prices of onions by the way of late. It's like all the way from, let's say, August up to where we are right now. Depends on when you're watching this video actually. I'm recording this video on October 20 somethings around there, 2023. So the point is this. Have you noticed the crazy prices of onions by the way? And on this video, I'm going to share with you how do you take advantage of the pricing and also make some cash at the end of the day. Remember, this is Good Joseph's channel. We talk about investment, money, and whenever there is an opportunity, I share with you. Now, today I'm going to share with you how you can actually go ahead and make 750,000 in a period of 5 months if you get yourself into the farming of onions. And by the way, how much do you need for you to invest on this? By the way, they say it's around 180,000 to plant a 1 acre of onions, but I'm gonna put it up to 250,000 Kenyan shillings. All right, so you can do the thing. All right, doesn't matter whether you live in towns, cities, or whatever the place. You can do something. All right, I tried it. Let's get to see what happens. Now, the point is this. But before I share this information with me here, I'm gonna share this information for free. And guess what? The only thing I need from you is to like this video. Just hit that like button and subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything. It's free of charge because I post a video each and every day and I don't want you to miss any. All right, let's get into the business. Now, you see, in any business, you have to understand something called the input and the output. With this regard, we talk about the cost of production and what have you. That's why I've divided this board into two. This section is where you actually need what we call the cost of production, and the other side is where we talk about the numbers. Probably the reason as to why you've clicked on this video, right? Let's get into the business. Now, the very first thing that you need to do is that get yourself a piece of an acre of land. You don't have to buy, you can lease. And I know you're asking, okay, fine. Where I can actually do this thing? You can do so in Kajiado, you can do in Narok, you can do in areas like Kipia and what have you. You can do, or in your way to Nyeri, likes of the Kiawara and what have you. Those are quite, okay, you see, onion doesn't require like a very wet areas. You can't really do good in Nyandarua where there is a lot of rains, or maybe in Kitale where there is a lot of rains and something of sort. So you need like a semi sort of, not really wet, not really dry, some sort of in between there, all right? Okay, now at that specific area, you need to get yourself a what? An acre of land. The acre of land depends with the area. That's where you rent. Some ranges from all the way to 5,000 to 10,000 to 15,000, right? The other thing you need, of course, is to calculate what we call the cost of production. And the cost of production here, set aside 250,000 Kenyan shillings. And guess what? An average one, it costs like 180,000. But hey, let's just add 70,000 on top of that. Because you've realized a lot of things are actually skyrocketed in terms of pricing. You might realize like pesticides have increased, even the cost of labor have increased. You realize that the plowing, like those tinga to plow your area and what have you, requires like a sort of amount of money, all right? So let's set aside 250,000 Kenyan shillings. And you're like, okay, fine. Where is this 250 going? It is going towards the labor, all right? It's going towards the water and what have you, because you might get yourself a place where you don't have water. So you need to get like, you know, when you do not have the rain, then you can substitute that with, or rather supplement that with water, or maybe you also those kind of things, okay? By the way, before you even get into this field, you have to understand that water is a necessity and you need it for the production of this specific commodity, all right? The other thing you need, of course, is about the pesticides. You know, make sure that at least you have somebody on board who will be looking forward into that, you know, spraying. And you can get the specific pesticide that you can spray the onions from the agrovets, okay? Or you can get them from the agriculture officer. They can actually lead you and tell you, hey, this is type of the onion that you can plant, as well as this is the pesticide that you need. You need to do your pesticide, let's say, after 1 month, after 2 weeks, after 3 months, after whatever the period of time, okay? And by the way, it takes a period of 3 months for onions to grow. You can do the nursery, this is the way you do the nursery, and then after the nursery now you can plant the plants, and then you give them like another month, like 4 months. But I'm giving it at approximately of 5 months for you to do everything and get people to get some cash at the end of the day. All right. So the other thing is about other costs. You know, other costs might arise here and there, and some people even insure. You can even decide to insure your farming. Yeah, you can go ahead and insure. You can set aside a certain amount of money and insure your thing, and you can be able to do something. Although this one sounds like a crazy one, but you can look for, you know, there's some insurance companies can be able to insure you if you want to get yourself into this farming for consistently for a longer period of time. Okay, that's exactly how you do the thing. Now we're done with the production. This is what you need to input. All right, to put into, and then let's get to see what you get in return. Okay, now on the production, now here at this particular point, now we regard 1 acre usually produces 10 to 20 tons of onions per acre. 10 to 20 10 to 20 tons of onions. That's like 10,000. That's like 10,000 kilograms to all the way to 20,000 kilograms. Let's just give it a flat rate of just 13 tons only. Just 13 tons only. You can get up to 20, but let's just give it at 13 tons only, which means 13,000 kilograms of what? Of onions. Now, the point is this. Now, what do you need, or how much do they sell at? A 1 kg of onion right now as you speak, it's actually all the way to 150, 160, 170, around that price of money. Depends on where you come from. All right? So therefore, when you're selling at wholesale, maybe you can sell it at a flat rate of 100 Kenyan shillings. Right? So you can even sell at 90, but let's just give it a flat rate of 100 Kenyan shillings. That is the wholesale price that you're selling to those guys who are gonna sell retail later. Because obviously you don't want to get yourself into retail selling and what have you. You're selling to those guys who are doing the sellings from the markets and what have you. Okay. The other thing, basically this information translates to 13 kg. There is that kabag, sort of like a net like there is that kabag. Usually 13 kg goes for 1,300. That's the same price. And this bag used to go to even to 730 Kenyan shillings, sometimes 900. But right now at a wholesale you can get it at 1,300, sometimes 1,400. All right, depends on where you're buying it, but we're anticipating things gonna be okay, well, for the consumers, but worse for the farmers. All right, now the 13 kg net, and then if you were to divide the 13 divided by this, you get yourself like 1,000 of these. If you multiply, at the end of the day, gonna add up to 1,300,000 Kenyan shillings. That is 1.3 million. Okay, that is 13 tons. Don't forget, 13 tons. That is 13,000 kg multiplied by 100. The selling price gives you 1.3 million Kenyan shillings. Now you subtract the 250,000, the production cost, or you can just say like 300,000 approximately, then you are left with what? Around 1 billion Kenyan shillings. Now, remember, there is what we call harvesting, there is transportation, there is storage, there is what have you, and all those other costs. How about you set aside another similar amount of money, the 250,000. Now you bring the cost of production to at least 500,000, and then you're getting yourself around 1.3 million. Then what you're left with is 750,000 Kenyan shillings. All right, you can just imagine that. Anyway, the point is this: obviously this cost cannot be able to go up to this particular point, therefore it means that you have chances of making more than this, but let's just be approximately. Again, remember, I used like the lower end of 13 tons. You can be able to make more than this, but I'm assuming you get yourself into the time where the production is not really, pleasing and what have you. And again, at that particular rate, you realize that, hey, we are aiming at getting 750,000. But according to the mathematics, you realize that you can actually make way more than this. I always tell people, it's always good to make sure at least you have 3 distinctive profits that you're targeting. This is the primary profit that you're targeting. And obviously, this is a profit that is quite within the logical means. Because anyway, I know what you're thinking right now. This is on paper. Absolutely, this is on paper. I am not denying that. Did I say that it's easier done? Obviously, at the end of the day, it usually becomes easier said than done, okay? But the point is this: sometimes it's good to make sure that at least you put it on paper before you put it on the ground. So this is the price, this is the profit that you're targeting. But always ask yourself, this is the primary profit that you're targeting. It's always good to divide your profit into 3 categories. A, get the primary profit or the target profit, which is 750. Get another one, let's say at around 500, and get the lowest one, let's say at around 350,000. So if you assuming that you get into it and you get the worst deal and what have you, and get a profit of 350,000 in a period of 5 months, honestly speaking, how much is that? You see, if you get a profit of like less than half of this, gets yourself 350,000 Kenyan shillings. If you divide that by 5, you're gonna get yourself like ups of 70,000 a month. 70,000 a month, and let's say maybe you're a teacher, maybe let's say you are a doctor, maybe let's say you do other things. This is not the primary thing that you do. Maybe you've just lent us a piece of land somewhere, and then you go ahead with this production, and then you get your 70,000 at the end of the month. That's quite a good amount of money, all right? Because honestly speaking, this is business, and they say those people who usually go out there and if there's something that you really need to have guts to get into is farming. But this is an area that can actually make you a good amount of money as you progress. So what's my point? My point is this: at all the time, make sure that at least you understand your numbers, and at all the time, make sure at least you calculate calculate all these profits in terms of the profit differences, by the time you get into the business, you already know what you're anticipating so that you make something at the end of the day. Now, the point is this. Right now, as I said, I'm making this video at around October. This is the best time to look for those pieces of land from those areas that I've discussed with you and get to understand and then get started. By the time you're getting the next year, January, February, March, or whatever the time, you already have a piece of land, you can get into this business and you can move to the next level. That is exactly what we do. And by the way, there is a very popular musician in Kenya. You should, by the way, he's not a Kenyan, but I heard now he's a Kenyan, by the way. He's getting himself into planting or growing these onions and garlics and what have you. If you guys, you're keen, you can be able to know whom I'm talking about. I don't want to mention names and what have you. But the point is this. This is an area that you can get yourself into and you can plant and be able to grow yourself to the next level. Especially the young people. Let's say maybe you are in... you are outside the country, maybe let's say you're in America, you are in Gulf, and you have that 250,000 Kenyan shillings, and you're like, okay, maybe it's not only the only amount of money that you have. It's not, you see, when it comes to farming, you have to be a little bit careful, and you have to be a risk calculating, because you don't get yourself into any business just like that. Or what we do, let this not be the dear money, because if it is the dear money, then you might get yourself frustrated. If so, then you can get yourself maybe a half acre of land. Maybe it can cost you half this amount of money. At least you spread your risk. The other amount of money, you can put it into an investment, because obviously this is a business and it has high risks. You usually have what we call high returns. So it's always good to make sure that you weigh yourself in between and get to see what exactly you can get started on. Otherwise, this is an area that you can pick and move, especially young people who are asking themselves, hey, what can I be able to... Sometimes I usually get some inbox and someone tells me, I have $1 million, but I don't know how I can invest and how I can do the thing. Joseph, would you mind to give me an idea of how I can be able to invest? How about you be like, okay, fine. I'm young, I do have the luxury of time. How about I get myself like 250,000 and get into the business? I do the farming and get to test how it goes about and get to see what I can be able to make at the end of the day. That is the spirit that we need. That's the zeal that we need. And I said, this is my disclaimer as I end this video. This is a risky investment and also requires you to do the right calculations. It requires you to understand that, hey, guess what? As much as that is risky, it also has a high susceptible of you making bigger profit. That is exactly what we do. If you sit there and say, hey, I'm already losing money, you ain't gonna make anything. It's always good to have the zeal and have the courage to go and get started. Anyway, guess what? I do have a ready business plan on this farming about the onions. If you need a piece of it, you can get it. The whole business plan about planting onions and what have you goes for only 280 Kenyan shillings. All right, that's what we do. Anyway, for now, it's a goodbye. But how do you get the business plan? Get my number from the description of this specific video and call me. That's my WhatsApp number. It's also my normal call number. Get that number, let's talk business, and we move to the next level. For now, it's a goodbye. But don't forget, like the video, subscribe, and also turn that notification bell to be notified whenever I upload a new good video. For now, it's a goodbye and see you in the next one.